All right. 14.3. We're going to talk about vertical angles, going to talk about alternate interior angles, and we're going to talk about alternate exterior angles. Now remember, an angle, for example, this right here, let's remember, would be angle M. Okay? That's how we would describe that angle, is angle M. Okay, so when I'm talking about letters and I'm talking about angles, then usually the letter goes on the inside of the angle. Okay, please remember that these are the angles. Okay, basically what it takes to go from one ray to the other ray, that's how we measure angles. Okay, we use a protractor to measure angles. We'll talk more about that. I think it's tomorrow or Thursday. But we use a protractor to measure angles. Okay, remember what a little protractor looks like? Looks sort of like that. It has all the numbers right here. Okay, and it has numbers down here. Okay, that's what a protractor looks like. That's not a very good example of it, but you know me, I don't draw real well. That's why I'm not the art teacher, because I'm not a very good drawer. Now, when we're talking about vertical angles, I touched on this yesterday with what we talked about yesterday. Vertical angles would be the opposite angles when two lines intersect. Okay? So vertical angles are formed when two lines intersect. Okay? So understand, when I have two lines that intersect, they form four angles. Okay? When I have two lines that totally intersect. Now, they can intersect without forming four angles. Okay, like we talked about yesterday. Okay? They form four angles. The opposite angles are congruent. Okay? So that means 1 and 3 are congruent, and 2 and 4 are congruent. What's the word congruent mean? I've already talked about it this year. Congruent. Joy. There it is. It means they're the same. Okay? So, in my example right here, if this angle then is 105 degrees, then the other angle has to be 105 degrees. Okay? Now, what we learned yesterday, if angle 1 is 105 degrees, what would angle 2 have to be? You have to use your brain. You know, coaches are requiring us to use our brain at 8:40 this morning. Some of you didn't have breakfast, probably didn't get your brain going. I had a little granola bar, wasn't very good. Didn't fill me up. Need some bacon and eggs and hash browns and biscuits and gravy. Making you hungry, Noah? Okay, I got your tongue this morning, Noah? No? You're not saying anything. What is it? Let's think about what we did at the very last yesterday. Well, sort of at the last. Remember what we say about this right here? What would that have to equal? Those two angles. Right. They had to equal 180 degrees. Because why? We had a line. Remember yesterday, I took and did that, and we said we formed two angles, and they had to equal 180 degrees. Okay? Let's go back to today. That right there. Isn't that two angles? Okay, so what do they have to equal? 180 degrees. So, Jonah, what would angle 2 be? Yes, 75 degrees. Okay? Because those two angles, angle 1 and angle 2, must equal 180 degrees. Okay? So, if angle 1 is 105 degrees, it'd be 105 degrees plus angle 2 would equal 180 degrees. So we just subtract 105 from both sides, and that gives us what angle 2 has to equal. See, there's that chapter 12 solving equations again. Okay? All right, now, let's look at alternate interior angles. Okay? Alternate interior angles, I'm not going to give you a per se definition because it's hard to put in words. Okay, the book does give you a semblance of a definition, but I want to show you on the graph what they are. Okay, I'm going to erase what I've done so far so it doesn't get confusing. All right, an interior angle. Okay, an interior angle lies inside the angle. Okay, so alternate interior. I'm going to read to you, let's see, it's been a while since I've read this definition. Okay, this is why we're just going to talk about it. I'm not going to make you write the definition. It says, when two lines are intersected by a transversal, two pairs of alternate interior angles and two pairs of alternate exterior angles are formed. Okay? So, let's look at our definition. Is this two lines right here? Yes. And they are intersected. This is what we call a transversal. Okay? Now, they're going to form a pair of alternate interior angles. Okay? Interior is in here. That's the interior. Okay? The inside the two lines. So, this forms alternate interior angles. So, this right here, angle P is an interior angle. And alternate means angle R. So, alternate interior angles. One is angle P and angle R. That is one pair. So, what would the other pair be? What do you think? Whoa, Noah woke up. What is it, Noah? Yes. Angle Q and angle O. That is my other pair of alternate interior angles. Okay, they're on the inside of our two lines. Now, understand those two lines could be like they are horizontal. They could be like this. They could have two lines that go like that, and then I intersect it there. Okay? In that scenario, this is the interior, inside the two lines. Okay? Now, alternate exterior angles. Okay? So this is the exterior. It's on the outside of the two lines. Okay? So, this one's a little bit different. Okay? Alternate exterior angles. Here is one. Okay? But I have to go up top for the other one. Okay? So, angle S and angle N or alternate exterior angles. So having those two, what are the other pair, Emily? Yes, angle M and angle T. Good. So angle M and angle T is the other pair of alternate exterior angles. Okay? Now, a little information here. If the two lines that the transversal intersects are parallel, then alternate interior angles are congruent, and alternate exterior angles are congruent. Okay? So in other words, line XY is parallel to line WZ. That's how they would tell you that. So they're parallel, so that means that angle P and angle R are the same measurement. Angle Q and angle O are the same measurement. Not that all four of them are the same measurement, just the alternate interior pair. So, let's look at that then. Now, so we've learned three basic things about measures. We've learned that vertical angles are congruent. Okay, we said vertical angles are the opposite angles when two lines intersect each other. So, I can take then this one measurement right here, okay? I can take this one measurement right here and fill in all the rest of them. Okay? Now, if this is 115, if angle N is 115, what does angle P have to be? Why 115? Because what? But why are they congruent? They're opposite, and we call those what kind of angles? Vertical. Okay? They're vertical angles, so therefore they're congruent. So, angle P, forget sometimes that I can carry my tablet with me, and I don't have to go back and forth. So that's 115. Okay? So, by what we learned yesterday that if we intersect this line right here with another line, what do the two angles right there have to form? What do they have to be equal to? Jonah? Yes, 180. Okay? So, Noah, what does angle M have to be then? If they're both equal to 180, what does M have to be? 65 degrees. Very good. So angle M has to be 65 degrees. So that means angle O has to be what? 65 degrees. Okay, because angle O has to be 65 degrees because they're vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. Doesn't matter what the lines do. Okay, I could have a line like this. I could have two lines that intersect each other there and be like that right there. Okay, this angle, angle A and angle B have to be congruent. Okay, angle C and angle D have to be congruent. Okay, by vertical angles, by the definition of vertical angles. Okay, so these are congruent. These are congruent. Okay? All right, now back up to the top. Now we're going to use our rules for alternate interior angles. Okay? We're going to use our rules for alternate interior angles and finish the rest of it out. Okay? So if angle O is equal to 65 degrees, these two lines are parallel, then what does angle Q have to be equal? Jonah? Huh? No. They're alternate interior angles. The two lines are parallel. Emily, what do you think? 65 degrees. They have to be the same. Okay? The alternate interior, these two right here have to be the same, and these two right here have to be the same. Okay? And so that means angle R is 115 degrees. Now, we can use our definition for alternate exterior angles and finish the other two angles, S and T. So, we said the blue, T and M, are the same. They're alternate exterior angles. Since those two lines are parallel, okay, since those two parallel, then this has to be 65 degrees. And that makes S 115 degrees. Okay? Now, that only works if the two lines you're intersecting are parallel. Okay? If the two lines look like this, let's say I had two lines like this and okay, let's say I had that. Okay, well these alternate interior angles are not going to be the same. And you can tell that. If we look at those two angles, if we look at that angle and we look at that angle, obviously this is a smaller angle than that is. Okay, but they are alternate interior angles. But since the two lines that the transversal, remember this is the transversal, okay, the transversal intersects those two lines, but those two lines aren't parallel. That's why they're not the same. Okay, this right here is not parallel. Because our definition of parallel is what? From section 1 of chapter 14. Noah? Same distance apart, but what is the main thing they can't do? Maya? Intersect. Are those two lines, because lines are infinite, they keep going, are those two lines going to intersect each other? Yes. Right here. Eventually those two lines up at the top are going to intersect each other. So therefore they can't be parallel. Therefore, alternate interior angles and alternate exterior angles will not be the same. They will not be congruent. Okay? All right. Now, talked about that. All right. So, your homework. And we just did, I think, 7 of the problems. Yes. That figure you copied down is the same figure they use for problems 1 through 6. So we basically did 1 through 6 up here in this area. Okay? So that's all you got to do is refer to your notes for 1 through 6, and you'll have all those done. So basically then you're only going to have to do about 8 problems on your own. All right, so we have 14.3, correct? Yep. And we're going to go 1 through 14. Now, the other thing I will tell you is I think, let's see, no, that one doesn't show up. I was going to say that little street thing down on page 359 showed up on test, but that's not the one that shows up. All right, so got about 7 minutes left in class. At least you can get 1 through 6 done. Now remember, you don't have to list all of them. Like number 1 says a pair of vertical angles. Okay? So they want you to list a pair of vertical angles on that figure. A pair. You don't have to list all the pairs. You just have to list one pair. Okay? So obviously we talked about vertical angles, which ones are vertical, which ones are all of that. All right, so get started.